Well, welcome, guys. As a few more are joining us, and we are excited you're taking the time to be here with us tonight. And this is, always on Monday nights, I look forward to being able to come to you with different information and share some ideas and strategies of how we can build health naturally. And tonight's topic, I think, is even, more important now than ever, just because we want you all to know that our team and those of us that we work closely together, that we want these to be a very positive place that you can come and feel like we are here to support you and is an uplifting place. And I think many of us really need that right now. So always know that you are welcome to join us, different topics every week. And again, we want this to be a place of encouragement and just a place that you can feel as though when you come here, it's never going to feel as though we're coming here to sell you products. Our goal is to bring you information and things that we feel is relevant to help make a difference in our lives and health. So as we're getting through this, I usually try to keep them around 20 minutes, but I will tell you tonight, I had a hard time narrowing down specific topics with this because I feel like there are so many different areas that we can cover when we are talking about, unnatural times right now and all of the things that come into play with this. And if you guys are looking at my screen here, there's just so many things going on right now. And it's very sad because it is changing daily. And I think that each one of us can probably say some days we're doing great, some days not so great, and some days we don't know what to expect because it's changing all the time. So one of the things that we can work to think about controlling to the best of our ability, though, is how our body deals with some of the things that is going to continue to go on. And I think stress and anxiety are two of the biggest, struggles that many of us start to suffer from. And this could be in many different ways. And this could have been way before this COVID-19 thing started. But if we can learn techniques and tactics naturally to help our bodies be able to deal with those types of symptoms that we can start to recognize, it is unbelievable how God made our bodies to be able to heal themselves and to be able to use what we give it to make a difference. And it's actually very interesting that over 90% of doctor visits, they say, are stress related. So if you think about that, when we are underneath chronic stress, what's affected? Our sleep, our eating habits, our ability to be able to, turn off that fight or flight response where our body is always in go mode and we can't shut that down. And when that continues to happen, we start to notice we get sick, certain diseases start to develop, and the chronic effect of stress on our bodies is what is really tragic because we don't realize the long-term effects that has on us. So again, I'm not going to sit here and read through every single one of these bullet points here, but if you look at the things that happen when our body can't handle everything around us. Now, unfortunately, we know we can't say we're never going to be under stress. Not possible, right? So it's learning techniques and tactics that can better help us. And, I think one of the best things we can really do right now is continue to, like I said at the beginning, offer each other support and stay connected. I'm hoping Sarah's on here because she was going to talk a little bit tonight, but I haven't seen her name up here. And she has shared several different podcasts with me, and she's a nurse. And, there's a couple of different things that I pulled from a couple of these things that I was listening to. And I think they're just really important to highlight because, as I was saying, we hear different advice everywhere and it's always changing. But some of the things that we can really work to take into place is that we know that because of all the things always changing, what can we control? And some of the things that we can control is how that stress affects our mood and affects our bodies. And we can really work to try to make better choices right now. And one of the things that they were also saying was how, we are not made to be isolated like this. And that is very concerning that when we look at the long-term effects of when we are forced to be away from people, what that does to our mental health, what that does to our immune systems, that, when we are basically staying isolated, that our bodies are losing the ability to be able to fight some of the viruses that when we go out again, our bodies aren't going to be able to handle it as well. And again, some of this we can't control, but I also think that there are many things that we can do to just help us be more aware of some alternatives and options out there. So looking at typical approach, what happens when our bodies are under stress and anxiety and some of the disorders that are tied with this? Generally, we're given a medication. And right now, I know many of us, we are avoiding going to the doctors, and for good reasons. We don't necessarily want to be placing ourselves in situations we don't have to. But when you look at the first line of defense as a medication, what happens to your body? You have to note that a medication is going to alter your body's natural state. And when that happens, we can become dependent on medications. We can have different side effects depending on what the medication is. And believe it or not, sometimes I have, when working with clients, actually seen that the side effects are worse than the actual problems themselves. And so we got to start to learn to be more proactive in what we do to incorporate health for ourselves. And I always say, we know our bodies better than anyone else. And if you have someone, for example, a doctor telling you need to go on a certain medication, do some research, get a second opinion, really reach out and make sure you're understanding what is being told to you and be an advocate for your health. That's the best thing we can do. Now, some of the things I also think that makes this very difficult is when we deal with mental issues. I know probably everyone on here knows someone that has some type of mental issue or has had someone even in their family. And it is a very difficult disease because they don't always know they need help, and they're oftentimes very misunderstood. So as we're starting to see, again, a lot of us, again, starting to feel as though we can't get out, and what that does to some people in creating, different phobias, and the ability for our ability to deal with people in more of a compassionate way and being able to understand them can be very challenging. So we want to keep trying to work on understanding what our options are here. And some of the things that we can control are these basic things, guys. And this sounds very simple, but I want you to just look at the screen there, right there. And those 5 things: sleep, stress reduction, exercise, rest, good nutrition, and keeping our kids and families healthy. Sounds easy, right? But I know that if we had to ask us on here right now, there's probably at least one area on there that we struggle with. And that's what we need to continue to find, are different practices that we can help to incorporate to give our bodies the best chance we can to fight back. And you know what? Whether we are exposed to different things or not, our bodies are made to be able to, if we give them the right things, to be able to protect themselves. And this is why we want to look at some of these habits. So as I get into talking some natural options, I think you guys will find a lot of this interesting. And like I said, this is where I sometimes will, I'll try to keep it simple, but I really like to explain why we look at adding natural options and what the differences are. But one thing to note, that anything we're going to suggest here, there are no side effects. So I actually just saw Sarah come on here really quick. So I'm going to have Sarah just kind of talk here real quick, because again, she's saying just a second. She's, definitely more of frontline seeing, hearing, and really staying in tune with the medical community in regards to what we're seeing today with a lot of the issues going on. And we just happened to be talking, and she was sharing how, she was talking with some of her friends and how, they're really extroverted personalities and how difficult it is for them right now. And I think that is kind of a scary thing for many people out there, is they just don't know what to do right now. So I think that's where it's helpful to just know, some options and hearing what's current and what's the latest and helping to fill you in. So, all right, Sarah, you okay for a second? Maybe? Okay. All right. I'll unmute you. If you need to say not yet, let me know.
No, I think I'm good. So yeah, when Amanda and I were talking about this topic, it kind of hit home because I had just been talking with some girlfriends and, from a distance, but just how we were all kind of feeling off was the best way we could describe it. Just not feeling right. We were extra tired. We just weren't feeling like ourselves. For those of us who are usually very social, we just weren't feeling very social, and we weren't missing that, which felt kind of weird. Getting used to all these new norms. And, it was just nice to hear that there was these common threads amongst these, 6 to 8 friends I was talking with, and just feeling strange and feeling out of whack, out of sync at these, abnormal times. And, we were saying, are we stressed? And some of us said, we don't feel stressed, but we just started talking about how even unconsciously our bodies are stressed. Even if we don't acknowledge it, everyone acknowledges stress and handles stress a little differently. And, everyone's like, yeah, most of us were getting more sleep than normal. Most of us were home a little bit more, and like, we don't feel stressed, but we are. And the one thing it came down to is we kind of started talking about what we can do. Like, what do we need to do to make ourselves feel better, to feel healthier? And it just came down to the simple things of, taking me time. We all agreed we have to have me time, whether you have kids right now, whether you're working, whether you're not, whether you're single. You just really have to kind of pencil in that self-care, whether it's a drive. For me, it's just sometimes driving in the car, getting away from the kids, not going anywhere, just driving. We have to watch our nutrition a little bit better. We were talking about what a huge role nutrition plays, whether the foods we're picking, whether we're eating enough or too little. We have to move. A lot of us agreed that just getting up and going for a walk, doing a 10, 20-minute workout, body weight, outside, inside, whatever you want to do, that was a common thread. And then, sleep. But the point of all this is A, it's okay to feel off in these unnatural times. And B, we really have to hone in on those things that we can do to make ourselves feel better. So it kind of hit home when we were talking about this topic, because like, we're all feeling kind of unnatural, and it's okay. Everyone's feeling differently and handling it differently, but it was comforting to be around all these girls and know that it's okay. And, Amanda mentioned, me being a nurse, and I'm working, and, you guys are going to hear all kinds of things going on right now. Instagram, YouTube videos, this isn't true, this isn't not true, listen to your governor, don't listen to your governor. And I just encourage all of you guys to just do what's right for you guys. There's going to be tons of information coming out there over the next couple of months, and just be safe and do what you need to do. And don't get sucked into don't find yourself on social media just scrolling through, reading the latest and greatest information on COVID-19. Just don't get buried in all the chaos, is what I want to say. Because things are going to change. They're changing every day at the hospital, and it's going to be changing for the next few months. So just try not to get buried in it, would be my biggest piece of advice, because no one really knows what's going to happen, to be honest. So, but that was just my little tidbit, just how applicable this is and how it just came up amongst friends, and what we can do to help it.
Perfect. Thanks. Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Sarah. That was great. Yeah. And yeah, guys, I said, I've been doing this for over 20 years with, really trying to, and Sarah, we used to work together way back when in corporate wellness. We've always been very passionate about helping people, but I do think now more than ever, we need to be advocates for what we can do to create a positive environment for ourselves and our families and those around us, because we don't know how people are handling this, and like Sarah said, you know what, take one day at a time, and let's just do the best and make the most of it. And we want you guys to understand, that, the products we're talking about here, guys, they're options for those of us that need a little more assistance. Okay. It doesn't mean that you have to feel like you're, going on a drug, because these are not meds. These are nature-based. They've been around over 100 years. Shaklee's not a new company, but you can feel like you have an option for when you really need something. And I'm just going to kind of quickly walk through some of these. This first one is a stress relief complex. And what this does is it quickly relaxes you without making you drowsy and releases tension. So if you're one that really struggles with anxiety, panic attacks, I'll actually use this before like public speaking, or athletes use this a lot before a big event. We even have our kids take it before a test, but it will blunt the cortisol levels. If you were paying attention to those last couple slides about stress, that's what happens when our cortisol levels rise. Our brain is affected, we can't think as well, and our body will react in different ways. So very important to know this product, because I think that there could be a time when, we need a little more help. So I love people to know about natural alternatives. I know this is a staple in many of our, lives today. So, and it can be used as needed, or it can be used daily, which is another great feature of that. It's, again, not like something that has to build up in your system like many medications do. So sleep is the other area we were quickly mentioning there on that one slide, is how important sleep is. And, I've been talking to, I've been doing online Zoom workouts. I just had somebody this morning say of how they woke up at 2 o'clock and couldn't fall back asleep until 4, and their mind just keeps racing. And I've been hearing that more and more, that, we have more time. So you think you would be less stressed because you can do more things, but I actually think it's having the opposite effect. So knowing what we can do to help us sleep. We talked about exercise. We talked about, watching our diet a little bit more, caffeine, we know that before bed type rules, but even having options to helping create more of a place you can relax. Gentle Sleep Complex is a favorite of ours. Kids can use this too, and it helps with, again, relaxing. So even tight muscles, sometimes when you go to bed and you're really tense, you can actually wake up from that in the middle of the night. Muscle cramps, we use that a lot for that. Even headaches, if you go to bed and you're just feeling so much stress, you got a little bit of a headache coming on, Gentle Sleep Complex, very calm. And again, if you look at what's in here, if you've ever heard of valerian root or chamomile, they have been around for hundreds of years, and that's what's actually used in a lot of other countries as a relaxing aid. So gentle sleep is a great one to know about. We also tend to use, calcium, magnesium options, also great for relaxing. And for kids, even kids are being affected right now by stress, guys, and you might not, we try our best. It's not that we focus on this, but I can tell you that probably the first week that the kids were off from school, we had the news on just because I wanted to hear what was going on. And I think that is actually the worst possible thing to do, because your kids are seeing it, which, yes, you want them to know what's going on, but it can play a part in just even people not feeling normal, and it really can cause you to be depressed and sad. And so I encourage people right now, actually don't turn on the news every day. Turn it on and, yes, be aware of what's going on. But if it's affecting sleep, know about chewable calcium, magnesium, awesome, because it's immediately released. Osteomatrix is another good option. And again, I know I'm covering a lot of things here, but I think that they're all very relevant to this topic. And when we were talking about the self-isolation and how, it creates a lot of strain on our mental health. And I think, the average right now for antidepressants, the latest statistic is 1 in 3 Americans is on an antidepressant. And I think this is actually going to continue to get worse. And again, antidepressants, I'm not saying that they're not mandatory for a lot of people, but this Mood Lift Complex is a great alternative. It's known as nature's Prozac, and it's a feel-good herb, if you're familiar with St. John's wort. This is one of the only nature-based products that we say do not take if you're already on an antidepressant, because it can combat and offset some of the effects of an antidepressant you might already be on. But it stimulates serotonin production. And this is one, it does take a little bit of time to build up in your system, unlike some of the other options. But again, a great thing to know, because a lot of us were coming off from seasonal affective disorder. We're coming off from people losing their jobs. We have more and more things that could be affecting, how our body is able to deal with stress. So you might need a little bit more assistance. So again, wanted to make sure we mentioned that one. Now, vitamin D3, this was a study that just came out recently. I don't know if you happen to see this one. But they are talking, and again, this was not a local study, but I do make sure that these are valid studies, and this one was, talking about how vitamin D can actually help with building up resistance to COVID-19. So adding vitamin D3, guys, this is a very inexpensive option. And this is kind of interesting to note that most multivitamin products, including kids products, Shaklee was the first company in the world to do studies to actually find that vitamin D3 was linked to many diseases we're seeing today. So all of a sudden, companies started adding more vitamin D. Now, they have continued to stay on top of the research, and I don't know if everybody knows this yet, but they just increased the amount of vitamin D in their multivitamins and in our vitamin D3. So now there is actually 2,000 IUs, and it's a readily absorbed type of vitamin D. And if you're not aware, there's lots of different, options, synthetic vitamins, nature-based, but vitamin D2 and vitamin D3 are the most common. And vitamin D3 is the one you want because that's the most readily absorbable in the biologically optimal form that your body recognizes. Vitamin D2 is fortified vitamin D. So that's going to be the types that's put into your foods, like in rich cereals. That's vitamin D2. So again, research has proven we want vitamin D3. And that's why Shaklee has chose to come out with a vitamin D option of D3. So vitamin C, guys, this would be another one that, again, I think all of us have heard about the antioxidant properties. And why do we need to look at possibly adding a supplement of vitamin C? We are the only species that cannot produce vitamin C in our bodies. Humans cannot make vitamin C, and that's why we have to supplement with it. We have to get in our diet, and supplement form is also another option. And when you look at vitamin C options, there's tons of them out there, but I love the chewable vitamin C for kids especially. I actually suck on these like when you start to get a sore throat, but you never have to worry about overloading on our vitamin C, again, because it's nature-based and it's water soluble. So your body will break down whatever it doesn't use. How do you know if you're getting too much vitamin C? You'll get diarrhea. That is the best way to know that you're taking too much vitamin C. So that's kind of a rule of thumb that we use. And there's options. There's sustained release, so it stays in your system. And there's also this vitalized immunity, which is awesome because it gives you a blast of vitamin C at one time. It's a tablet, you drink it, and again, safe for kids, and it doesn't have the sugar, the preservatives, the colors that you'll see in things like Emergency and many of your other store brand options of vitamin C. This was another study that was recently done talking also about how some hospitals were finding high amounts of vitamin C were helpful. And again, guys, this isn't new. We've known for years that high amounts of antioxidants are one of your best lines of defense against illness. So when we talk about this now more than ever, we need to look at adding more supplements probably than we did before, just as an aid of prevention. And Nutriferin is just one other product I want to make sure I kind of highlight for immunity. We are huge fans of Nutriferin because it helps to stimulate and regulate your immunity. And I wanted to read this. I pulled this out because I can read it better than I can say it to help you understand what this does. And if you've ever heard of interferon, that's what Nutriferin does, is it helps with your interferon levels. So interferon is a protein that's produced by your cells when viruses invade them. It is released into your bloodstream or intercellular fluid to induce healthy cells to manufacture an enzyme that counterfeits the infection. 3 types have been identified: alpha, beta, and gamma. Nutriferin optimizes interferon production and increases natural defenses by increasing the effectiveness of macrophages, white blood cells that patrol the body looking for invaders when they consume, much like Pac-Man. So basically, when your body is starting to get attacked by a virus, the interferon goes around and eats the bad viruses that are trying to come in. So I'm, again, a huge advocate of Nutriferin. I have used it for clients for years, especially people that have autoimmune disorders, mono, things that where you know your immune system is drastically affected. We really want to know about Nutriferin. It's a great alternative. And we got to mention gut health here because this is another area that's directly correlated with immunity and also our brain health, guys. So we're talking about mental health here. It's very interesting that over 90% of your body's serotonin is made in your gut. Everybody thinks it always comes from the brain, but it's actually coming from your gut. So the more that we can work on keeping that signal active between the brain and the gut, the better our body is going to react to everything around us, and even with fighting disease, helping with mood, helping with memory, even with cravings. It's pretty impressive of what they have found with gut health. So 2 different options for probiotics. We have a DI, which is a different strain of an immunity component for a live strain that is specific to immunity. The probiotic Pearl is a triple encapsulated 2 strains that has over 500 million, bacteria that'll attack and help build up your gut health, but both of them kind of have different functions. So that's why I wanted to mention both. Now, someone that has a lot of digestive issues, this DI can be a little harder at first because there's so much that's live in there that we usually suggest starting with the Pearl. But again, I really believe right now, guys, that our diets might not be the same. We might be noticing that, even simple things like we're not drinking as much water, that will cause yeast overgrowth if we're eating more processed food, sugars, that the probiotics help to keep that down. And we need to know that because it's very important for many of our systems in our body, even including things which you would never think. But I always mention we give our kids probiotics whenever I notice something coming on. It could be a cold, it could be pink eye, it could be ear infection, and we've combated basically everything and never have had to take our kids in for something that is an infection or virus related because if you can get enough good bacteria, generally you can kill whatever is trying to invade your body. Now, again, one of the things that's specifically important to note about that probiotic, instead of just going and saying, I'm going to go buy a generic one, is that 90% of that bacteria is guaranteed to be live. So that is what is really special about understanding why those probiotics are different. And last thing I want to make sure we just quickly mention here is we are spending so much time indoors, guys, more now than ever. And they say that basically air can be 5 to 10 times more toxic than outdoor air. And part of the toxicity that's in our air, believe it or not, is from our cleaning products and our laundry products. So another component to helping with looking at building health and just looking at trying to keep our bodies as strong as we can, look at your chemicals and your cleaning products. So it's always a great thing to note. And the fact that, you know, we spend so much time in here, again, we really need to know of options and natural alternatives. So just wanted to also mention that. So guys, when you're looking at options, we don't want anybody to ever be overwhelmed. And this is really important to know that our goal is to help you. So anytime you have questions, whoever invited you, reach out to them, ask them to, you know, give you a little bit more guidance and suggestions on where to begin. You know, there's over 350 Shaklee products. It's not something where you can say, here's one pill, take it, it's going to fix everything. We need to know that we're all unique. And that's why we have to figure out the best program that works for us. And sometimes that changes. But having options and having natural alternatives is really our best defense right now for everything we're looking at doing from both our mental health and in prevention. So just to kind of summarize here really quickly and make sure we're kind of understanding some options here, you know, let's continue to surround ourselves, guys, with positive people, positive encouragement around us. I even like affirmations, putting positive things around, if it's Bible verses, if it's something that really encourages you, do sticky notes, put in places so it's helping you to remind yourself that we have a lot to be thankful for. And from a prevention standpoint, I tell everybody, get on a multivitamin. Vitalizer would be another option. So feel free to ask questions about what Vitalizer is. Vitamin C, we talked about, Nutriferon, and that good probiotic. If I could give you a daily regimen, that would be it. And at first sign of noticing you need a little boost, look at Vitalize Immunity, Defend and Resist. Garlic and alfalfa would be our other just quick 2 things to mention here at the end. So guys, before I open up to questions, tomorrow night, if you're interested, we're going to be doing a virtual smoothie workshop. These have been really popular to do them in person, actually, so we're taking them virtually. We did one actually on our team Zoom a couple weeks ago, and it was a big success. So we're going to do another one tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. We'll give you lots of recipes and ideas, and you'll actually see us make a smoothie. You don't have to make it with us. You're just there listening and learning, and we'll give you some different ideas, and also we're going to be offering a few specials. So invite people, guys. These are for everyone. We want to give you education. This is free, guys. We're not doing this as a way to, you know, actually earn income. We're doing this because we want to help you, and so you can become more educated and learn options. And last thing, again, to highlight here, if you would like to continue to learn more about what we do and learn more about Shaklee, here's some of our stories. We have a Facebook group we started that I think is a really great resource for learning more. So it's called Surviving and Thriving and Working from Home. You are welcome to ask to join that, and we'll be happy to accept you. And last thing to highlight here, guys, that we have so many things we can focus on, but I want you to go every day focusing on your blessings and all of the things we have to be thankful for. So, all right, guys, any questions or anything you'd like to add, make sure you unmute yourself, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have here in a minute for myself or Sarah. So feel free to hop on. Even if it was helpful, guys, we'd like to hear from you too. So you're all quiet.
It was great, Amanda. Lots of good information.
Good. Thank you, Jennifer. All right. Good, guys. Anybody else? Anything to add? Comments?
Question. The stress relief.
I just liked all the practical suggestions.
Good. Thank you very much. Good. All right. I think I heard maybe, go ahead.
Yeah, it's me. The stress relief. How often can you take that?
Because again, just like everything else Shaklee related, realistically, you could take as much as you need. You know, I've had people that, for example, when they lost a loved one, they needed a whole lot more. And I had people at one point up to about 8 a day. So I don't think you can say, yeah, that you can take too many. It's not going to cause any, you know, side effects or be dangerous to take in large quantities. So
it will be beneficial more than just once a day.
Correct. Definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Good question. And, I'll give you an example too. Like Art, he takes it every day. If you guys are not familiar with Art, my husband, he had a closed head injury when he was younger. And, he really, he can have a hard time with multitasking a lot of times. I mean, he's super smart. I mean, he's an engineer. He's very good at what he does, but he will take a stress relief complex in the morning just to help him to stay, focused. And he'll tell you how much he likes the stress relief complex. But a lot of times by the time he gets home, he needs another one because he can tell, he walks in the door and all the kids are yelling, they want something, blah, how it goes if you have kids. And he needs another one just to help him calm down. So you kind of learn to listen to your body. And that's what's unique about it though, is it's fast acting. So within 15 to 20 minutes, you'll know it's working. And you can tell when you need another one. So great question though, Karen. Good, guys. Anybody else?
Good information. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining. And again, you have questions, reach out to any of us. We'd be happy to help you. And we're going to transition to business training. You guys that want to hang on, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, hopefully we'll see some of you back tomorrow night and 8 o'clock, remember, not 8:30. So have a great night, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.